Hello everyone. Now in this video I will show you new things that's available on the KAppMaker. It's available on the Millionaire Edition model. It has two new functionalities. One is a planting page template, which I already made a video about that, and this video is about AI model integration. This model has an integration with OpenAI, which you can analyze text and images, has integration with the Replicate API, and also has integration image generation using the DALL-E. In the Replicate, there are more than the 200 AI APIs that you can use. That means you can create two different applications, AI applications. So let's get started. Once you have access to this model, you will get access to two repos, KAppMaker Extended, which is client mobile application, Kotlin multi-platform part. And another one is the KAppMaker web repository. And this repository contains the backend part, which is basically a proxy API service using the Firebase Functions. It's hosted for free. You can start for free, but after you exceed some usage limit, you need to pay. But I never paid it, so it's free to start. Let's get started. We will follow the documentation. If you already followed this getting started, first step and configuration, which you can set up in 5 minutes. Let's go through the features and AI integration part. What you need is downloading this to repository. I already downloaded it. That is the backend part. We will start with the backend part. I will open it in the Visual Studio Code. And this functions folder contains AI codes, API codes. And let's follow the documentation actually. You also need to create the Firebase project for that. Let's go to the Firebase. I already created one, but you just create a new project, and after that you need to go to the usage and billing, and here in the details and settings part you need to change the free plan to the place pay-as-you-go plan. That's needed for the Firebase functions, but as I said, it has generous free limit. You can start for free. And let's follow the functions. We need to log into Firebase. In the root folder of that repository, I just called it AI image comparison. I log in it. So what's my purpose in this application will be using the both Replicate and OpenAI. We will create the two different images from the two different APIs, and we will just compare it. That's a simple application, but we will see how to use this AI integration. After login, we need to initialize the functions. Overwrite JavaScript, no, and yes. And that will install some dependencies. We already installed it. Then after that we can test it locally if you want. Deployment will deploy it at the end, but before that I need to show you something. That's available functionalities using for the Replicate and OpenAI. We need to get the OpenAI key and the Replicate API key. For the Replicate, we go to the Replicate, Profile, API Tokens, and here you need to create the token. I already created one, so I will use the same one. And after that, we need to go to the Google Secret Manager and choose the project, choose Firebase project that you created, and enable this API. And after enabling, you need to create the two secrets, or how many APIs you use. I will use both OpenAI and the Replicate API key. So you need to create the secret and call it as a OpenAI API key or Replicate API key, and you just create, and you set the API key value here, and you create the secret. I already created both of them, so that's why I will not create again. After you create it, if you don't need any API endpoint, you can just comment and you will disable that functions. Then the validation part. For the testing purposes, let's go to the utils validation part. I require from the users that they are authenticated, so it will prevent some spam or the bot requests. We can also check the payment here as well, but for now, for the testing purposes, I will not use authentications. That's why I will just disable them and save it, and we can deploy the backend to the Firebase. Let's just copy and deploy. Until it's deployed, let's go through to the client application, mobile app. For the mobile app, we will need to use the cloud URL, cloud functions URL. For that, let's go to the Android Studio. Okay, it's finished. I will show you here if I can find it. I already deployed it, so I don't see it again, but usually when you deploy it the first time, you also see the cloud functions URL, but even if you don't see, it's easy to know that URL. So now I will go to the Android Studio. Then in Android Studio, I will go to the constants file. In the cloud functions URL, we paste the URL that we saw, but we didn't see. Basically, it's something ends with cloudfunctions.net, and the first part is region, which is by default it's US Central, and the second one is a project ID. So in our case, it's AI image analyzer. That's all. After setting that, our client app and the web app is already set up. Now we can use it. For now, I will use it in the home screen for just testing purposes. What we need is replicate API service and coin inject, replicate the API service, and one OpenAI service, OpenAI API service. I need to create two images based on the prompt. Let's call it, the prompt is logo of startup in abstract funny creative way. Example. And create scope. Usually in the production app, you need to call it from the API services, from the repository, etc., etc. You need to create the models, but for now, for testing purposes, we will just go like that. And let's call it output. We will have the two image URL. So one from the replicate, one from the OpenAI. That's why we will create some pair first and second empty. Then let's create a column, and we need to add coil for the image loading. I already added for these two dependencies for the image loading in the compose. And we need async image. Model is output first. If output first is not empty, not and output second is empty not, and we can just empty. Then we will add two images. One is content description. Let's replicate image. Let's also add some text. Replicate image. Let's put some space. Replicate image and copy paste. OpenAI. Done. Was it DALL-E? Okay. Huge image, and that will be the second URL. And what we will need to do is in the current scope in the background IO OpenAI services create image create image request, and our prompt will be the prompt that we defined earlier. Well, result data. We need to also check if it's successful or not, but for now we will ignore the error part. We will guess that it will be success every time. First or not, and URL. Let's actually make it launch, not the launch but async. OpenAI URL, and we need to await, and for the replicate I want to use Flux, and let's go to the replicate Flux API, Flux model. I will search Flux, and let's call this Flux 11 Pro. If it has, and we need to go to the HTTP part to see what it requires as an input, and if you see there is like the models here, then it means for the replicate I will just show it now. Replicate API service, there is create prediction and create model prediction. If you see there is models, it means it's model, so we need to create model prediction. And what we need to pass is model owner. It is that Black Forest Labs, and model name is Flux 11 Pro, and for the request body we need to pass version if it wasn't a create model prediction. For now, for version we can pass null. By default it's null, and we need to pass input. That's main important thing. For the input we need to pass this object. We can create another object, or for now for testing purposes I will just create some map and input to prompt. Not input, but it's called prompt. And we need to get data again, output, and that will be our URL as well. And we also need to await. After that what we'll do is output equal pair. First image was replicate image and second is OpenAI. So replicate URL and second URL is OpenAI URL. For now, let's say okay. Now we should be able to see two images. Let's see. Let's run it. For some reason we didn't see, but let me we did, but because of the internet connection there was some delay. We can actually add some if yes, yes, that's the thing, because we didn't use launch effect, all kind of thing it does in every composition. It calls each time these functions. So that's good. Actually we can see different kind of images. So that's how you can use AI model in the KAppMaker Millionaire Edition model. Right now, for the new year, it's on sale. You can get 20.25 discount. And yes, thank you very much.